Are you working tirelessly just to pay for rent, electricity, and an endless pile of bills? What if I told you that in this world, there are countries that not only give you free visas, zero taxes, but also pay you, provide housing, and even support your living expenses right from day one? Would you believe it? Today, I'll take you to explore 10 countries where you can live almost completely free. From European villages that pay you to move in, to tax-free paradise islands, and even vibrant cities where living costs are just $700 a month. Don't look away, because country number 7 and number 3 might be places you never thought of, but could turn out to be your true dream. Dream it. Pack it. Go. Italy, the land of reborn villages. There are places where the moment you set foot, you feel as if you've stepped into a living painting, where time seems to slow down and the past still lingers on every ancient stone. That is Italy, the land of Mediterranean sunshine, of villages waiting to be reborn, and of policies that sound unbelievable but are entirely real. They are willing to pay you to come live there. Since 2022, the Sardinia region has launched a special program that continues to this day. Anyone moving to a small town with fewer than 3,000 residents can receive between $15,000 and $20,000 to buy or renovate a house. Many other towns in Calabria, Puglia, and Sicily openly announce bandos, funding packages worth hundreds of millions of dollars, as long as you commit to restoring an old home and turning it into your new nest. And if you've ever heard of the famous $1 houses, that's no myth. In towns running out of residents, for the price of a soda in the US, you can own an entire house in exchange for your effort and love to bring it back to life. The wonderful thing is that you don't just receive money or a house, but you also gain an entirely new lifestyle. In the mountain villages of Sicily, you can rent a charming apartment for only $300 to $400 a month. A lunch with fresh pasta, cheese, salad, and a glass of local wine costs about $8. Every morning at the market, $20 is enough to bring home a bag full of vegetables, cured meats, and cheeses for several days. With expenses of only about $1,000 to $200 a month, you can live comfortably in a setting where in New York that same amount would only cover an electricity bill or a few meals out. Italy also gives you a quality public healthcare system, with low costs for legal residents and stable safety levels, especially in small towns, where people still call each other by name in the square like in an old Italian film. But perhaps what makes your heart truly move isn't the numbers. Listen to the story of Mark, an American engineer who retired. He happened to read about the one house in the town of Musamelli, Sicily. Mark flew over just with the intention of trying his luck, but when he stood before the old stone house, with a red-tiled roof collapsed in one corner, he knew he couldn't turn away. 6 months later, that house had been transformed into a space full of light, with a balcony overlooking the vineyards. The villagers said that on the first evening Mark moved in, they all came over bringing bread, wine, and fruit for him, as if welcoming back a long-lost son. Mark said, "In the US, I spent thousands of dollars each month to live in a cold apartment. Here, with a single coin and a bit of effort, I found an entire family again." Of course, Italy is not a perfect paradise. You'll have to deal with complicated bureaucracy, plenty of paperwork in Italian, and the need for patience when working with local authorities. If you join a subsidy program, you are required to actually reside and complete the renovation on time, or else you will lose the benefits. In addition, electricity, fuel, and imported goods are still more expensive than in many developing countries. But in return, you gain a rare opportunity: to turn your own life into part of the centuries-long story of a European village. So, if one day a small town in Sardinia or Calabria offers you the keys to a house and a $15,000 grant, would you be ready to move in, plant a few flowers on the porch, and write the next chapter of your story on a land that has enchanted humanity for thousands of years? 9. Spain. The land of empty villages that pay you to live. If Italy is enticing with its wonder houses, Spain surprises with villages ready to give away free homes, or even pay cash for you to move in. This is not a fairy tale, but real policies aimed at saving rural communities that are gradually losing young residents. Imagine waking up in a red-tiled roof house, surrounded by olive groves and the Andalusian mountains. But instead of paying rent, the local government hands you support money to sustain your life. In the town of Ponga, a couple once received $3,300 when they committed to settle there. In Rubia, young families were supported with $1,500 per year to keep the village school from closing. Recently, some towns under the España Vaciada, Emptied Spain program even launched grants of up to $16,000 for those willing to stay long-term. Note: each town has its own bando, meaning local support package with specific deadlines, residency conditions, and house renovation requirements. Before deciding, you need to carefully check the official announcements from the authorities. Living costs in rural Spain are truly affordable. A spacious apartment in a small town costs just $250 to $350 per month. With $20 at the market, you can get vegetables, manchego cheese, and cured meats for the whole week. Even in mid-sized cities like Valencia, a full menu del dia with appetizer, main dish, dessert, and wine is only $12. In total, one person can live comfortably in rural Spain on about $1,300 per month, while a couple only needs $1,600. Visas and taxes are also a big plus. With a U.S. passport, you can stay 90 days visa-free in the Schengen area. If you want to stay longer, you can choose the non-lucrative visa, requires about $33,000 a year in passive income, or the digital nomad visa, granted up to 3 years. With the DNV, you can also benefit from the Beckham law, meaning that if eligible, you are taxed as a non-resident at a flat 24% on income earned in Spain, instead of on a progressive scale. But keep in mind, the Beckham law does not exempt all global income. It only applies to income generated in Spain. A story often told in Asturias is about Jerry, an American retiree. Hearing that a small town was paying for new residents, he immediately signed up. But when he arrived, instead of receiving an envelope, the mayor handed him a goat and said, "This will be your new neighbor." At first, Jerry was confused, not knowing how to take care of it. But just a few weeks later, he and his four-legged neighbor had become famous friends in the village. Jerry said, "In the U.S., and I paid rent, and nobody even greeted me. Here, I was given an entire community and a goat." Of course, no place is perfect. Applying for long-term visas in Spain can take time. In rural areas, few people speak English, and internet can sometimes be unstable. But in return, you live in a warm community, where every meal feels like a little festival, and sometimes the government even pays you to do it. If you think this is worth trying, hit like and comment, "I'm ready." In Portugal, the slow-living paradise on the Atlantic. If Spain is filled with villages calling you to save them from emptiness, Portugal gently holds you back with a slow life by the sea, where time seems to flow with the rhythm of the Atlantic waves. This is a country that consistently ranks among the safest and most livable places in the world, and at the same time one of the most open destinations for Americans seeking a long-term home. The common starting point is the D7 visa, designed for those with passive income from pensions, investments, or rentals. The requirement is only about 1,000 KD per month for an individual, slightly higher if you're bringing family. With this visa, you can stay in Portugal long-term, and after just 5 years, you qualify to apply for permanent residency or even citizenship. In addition to the D7, the government also introduced the Digital Nomad Visa, D8, aimed at remote workers with stable foreign income. As for taxes, the NHR, Non-Habitual Residency Program, which once exempted foreign income from taxes for 10 years, ended in 2024. Replacing it is a narrower scheme focused on research and innovation sectors. Although no longer as broadly attractive as before, Portugal still maintains an edge thanks to its low living costs and favorable tax rates compared to Western Europe. A small apartment in a coastal town in the Algarve can be rented for $500–700 per month. At the local market, $150–200 is enough for a healthy diet with fresh fish, vegetables, meat, and good wine at only $3–4 per bottle. Eating out at a local restaurant usually costs just $8–10 for a full meal with drinks. Total monthly expenses for a comfortable life range from $1,200–1,500, far cheaper than neighboring Western European countries. One interesting story comes from Linda, a retired American teacher. She joined a volunteer program on a vineyard in the Alentejo region through Workaway. Every day she worked in the garden for just a few hours in exchange for free food and lodging, while the whole town treated her like family. Linda said, "In the US, I spent $3,000 a month just to survive. Here, with less than half that amount, I live like I'm dreaming, and I even learned how to make wine with the locals." In terms of safety, Portugal ranks 7th in the Global Peace Index 2024. Violent crime is extremely rare, and the expat community is growing, especially in Lisbon, Porto, and the Algarve. The public healthcare system is good, while private health insurance costs only about $50–70 a month, much cheaper than in the US. Of course, there are still downsides. Large cities like Lisbon are facing rising housing costs due to tourism and foreign investors. If you choose to live in urban areas, you may find expenses significantly higher than in the countryside. In addition, the new tax regime is no longer as free as the NHR once promised, leaving some disappointed. But if your goal is to find a safe place with a mild climate and a friendly community, Portugal remains a hard choice to beat. 7. Denmark. It's more fun on the farm than in the office. You think Denmark is just Lego, expensive Copenhagen, and people sitting in cafes pensively watching the rain? Wrong. Denmark has a secret game for foreigners. Woof. It sounds like a dog barking, but actually stands for worldwide opportunities on organic farms. This is only volunteer exchange, not a work permit. You only need to work a few hours a day, pulling weeds, picking carrots, hugging cows, if the cows allow. And in return, you get accommodation, 3 meals a day, and even the chance to learn how to make homemade strawberry jam. All this for just $30 a year for membership. In the US, $30 buys you half a tank of gas, while in Denmark, it feeds you like a farmer's child. The cost issue. Normally, renting in Copenhagen is about $800 a month, and a cup of coffee costs $6. But with WWWoof, you don't pay a cent for housing and food. The only expenses, a $400 bus ticket into town, and about $100 a month for travel insurance. Quite a bargain compared to sitting in an American office crying over your electricity bill. The funniest story is probably Bill's, an uncle from Texas. On his first day in the cowshed, he thought he would milk like in the cartoons. The cow disagreed. It swished its tail once. Bill fell flat into the hay, milk flying everywhere. From then on, the whole village called him Milk King. Bill laughed. In the US, I spent $50 on a fast food meal. Here, $50 keeps me going for a whole week, and the cows say good morning. Of course, there's a price. You can only stay 90 days visa-free with a US passport. After that, it's bye-bye, or find another visa. And if you imagine WWOOF is flower arranging for Instagram, sorry. The reality is mud, sweat, and backaches. But in return, you live in one of the top 10 happiest countries in the world, where dinner ends with candlelight and rye bread, not the sound of a credit card notification. So what do you think? Ready to pack your bags? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see the next country. 6th, Colombia. Salsa, coffee, and life on $700 a month. Colombia is becoming a low-cost paradise for Americans. In Medellin, the city of eternal spring, you can rent a small apartment for just $350–400 a month, have a full lunch for $250, and drink premium coffee for $1. Altogether, a month of comfortable living costs only $700–900, the same as a car insurance bill in Florida. Visas are also easy. U.S. passports get 90 days visa-free, extendable for another 90. Want to stay longer? Apply for a volunteer visa, visafree, for about $230 and stay legally for 1–2 years. Prefer an even cheaper option? Platforms like Workaway or HelpStay let you clean hostels, teach English, or help on farms in exchange for accommodation, plus meals, and sometimes even an extra $100 in pocket money. Strengths: stunning nature, pleasant climate, low costs, great coffee, and a large expat community. Weaknesses: some regions still face security issues, so you need to choose safe cities. And note, if you stay more than 183 days per year, you'll become a tax resident and must declare your global income. In other words, Colombia gives you housing, food, coffee, and salsa, all wrapped up in $700 a month. 5. Panama. The red carpet for retirement. Panama is famous for its pensionado visa, one of the most retirement-friendly programs in the world. You only need to prove a 1,000-month pension, and you get long-term residency, with no need to renew every year and no requirement to buy property. The biggest perk is the official retiree discount book. 25% off airline tickets, 30% off medical consultations, 50% off movie tickets, and even discounts on phone, electricity, and water bills. That's why retirees here are called VIP pensionados. Taxes are super relaxed. They only apply to income earned in Panama. Pensions, investments, or rental income from the U.S. are all tax-free. This is the key reason many Americans choose Panama to preserve their income. Living costs are also affordable. Renting a central Panama City apartment is $500 and $700 a month, while in peaceful areas like Boquete, it's only $350–500 a month. A meal of grilled fish, coconut rice, and fresh juice costs $5. A couple can live comfortably on $200, $1,000 to $500 a month. Strengths: easy visa, nationwide discounts, light taxes, and the US dollar in use. Weaknesses: traffic jams in big cities, slow bureaucracy, and sometimes the mañana, leave it for tomorrow, attitude. Panama rolls out the red carpet, gives you discounts from movie tickets to utility bills, and lets you enjoy your full pension untouched. Comment this country's name if you'd like me to make a detailed video about it. And don't forget to hit like to show support. 4. Ireland. The island inviting you to build a home. Ireland is looking to revive rural villages and sparsely populated islands. The government launched the Croí Connect program, offering up to $84,000 to anyone who buys and renovates an abandoned house. Alongside it is the Our Living Islands Plan, 2023, designed to encourage settlement on 30 islands by providing funding, infrastructure, and priority services. Living costs in the capital Dublin are quite high, but in small towns, rent is only $500–700 per month, or cheaper if you take advantage of the support. A classic pub meal, fried fish, potatoes, and a pint of Guinness, is about £12–52. Cooking at home costs around $250 a month. On average, one person can live comfortably in rural Ireland on about $1,500 a month, while a couple can live reasonably on just $800–200 a month. Public health care in Ireland is considered good and low cost for legal residents. In terms of safety, Ireland ranked in the top 3 most peaceful countries in the world in 2024, with rural communities being especially friendly. The standout advantages are generous financial support, opportunities to own affordable housing, safety, and quality health care. But the downsides are frequent rain, complicated subsidy application procedures, and the requirement to truly reside and carry out renovations. 3. Greece, a Mediterranean paradise welcoming foreigners. Greece stands out with its digital nomad visa 2021, which allows residence for 12 to 24 months, requiring an income of about $3,500 per month. This is one of the easiest nomad visas to obtain in Europe. In addition, under Law 475/8/2020, foreigners can receive a 50% income tax reduction for 7 years, a rare incentive in the EU. Living costs are quite moderate compared to Western Europe. An apartment in Athens costs $500–700 per month, and even less on smaller islands. A local meal is about $8–10, coffee $2. Total monthly expenses for a comfortable lifestyle are around $200–1,500. In terms of safety, Greece is stable and friendly, with decent public and private healthcare infrastructure. However, during peak tourist season, prices rise sharply, and bureaucracy can sometimes be cumbersome. The big advantages here are a clear nomad visa, strong tax incentives, lower costs than Western Europe, beautiful landscapes, and a pleasant climate. However, every place has its weaknesses: high income requirements for nomads, rising summer prices, and slow paperwork. Ireland attracts with housing subsidies and friendly rural communities, while Greece appeals with the nomad visa and 50% tax incentives. One side is the village waiting for you. The other is a Mediterranean paradise open to nomads. Would you dare to live here? Type yes or no in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss the journey. 2. Mauritius, the tax-free island in the Indian Ocean. Mauritius is not only picture-perfect with its white sandy beaches and turquoise waters, but also stands out for its open-door policy for foreigners. The most special feature is the premium visa, which allows U.S. citizens and many others to legally reside for up to 1 year with easy renewal. The requirements are not complicated. Simply prove stable income from abroad, about $2,500 a month for individuals, with no need to buy property or invest. On taxes, Mauritius is a light financial paradise. All income earned outside Mauritius is tax-free. This means pensions, salaries from online work, or investments in the U.S. remain untouched and do not need to be declared in Mauritius. The cost of living on the island is fairly balanced. A beachfront apartment costs $400–600 a month. Meals at local eateries are just $4 to $6 each. Private health insurance is about $35 or $60 a month, while visits to modern clinics are only $20–30. In total, one person can live comfortably on $1,400 a month. Mauritius is also safe, politically stable, and has a high-quality private healthcare system. The internet is reliable, making it suitable for remote work. However, the downsides are that being a small island, the cost of imported goods such as cars, electronics, or luxury items is higher compared to Asia. In addition, cultural and entertainment options are somewhat limited compared to large urban centers. 1. Cape Verde, the affordable muse of the Atlantic. Cape Verde, an island nation off the coast of West Africa, is increasingly attracting foreigners looking for a peaceful and low-cost place to stay. U.S. citizens can obtain a visa on arrival for about $22 or apply for the Remote Working Program, which allows residence for 6 to 12 months with simple procedures. On taxes, Cape Verde applies an open system for foreigners. Income from outside sources is almost entirely tax-free, as long as you are not conducting business locally. This makes Cape Verde an ideal stop for freelancers or retirees. The cost of living is surprisingly low. A sea view apartment is just $300–400 a month, and a fresh seafood meal with grilled fish, sweet potatoes, and greens costs only $3–4. With $700–900 a month, you can maintain a full and comfortable lifestyle. Healthcare in the capital Praia and on the larger islands is relatively modern, with insurance costs around $40–60 a month. The big plus is a safe living environment, political stability, and no conflicts. The people are friendly, and the culture is a rich Portuguese-African blend. However, the downsides are uneven infrastructure, with inter-island travel depending on ferries and domestic flights, which can sometimes be delayed. In addition, if you're used to a modern urban lifestyle, Cape Verde's slow pace may feel a bit dull. If this surprised you, leave a like and comment the name of your favorite country. So we've now gone through 10 countries, from the lush islands of the Atlantic to the ancient villages of Europe, and even tropical cities in Central and South America. The common thread is this: you don't need to be wealthy to start a new life. In many places, they'll even pay you to live there, exempt you from U.S. income taxes, or offer a host of benefits with visas, housing, and healthcare. Of course, each country has its own strengths and limitations. Some are cheap but far from urban centers, some are modern but require high income, and others demand that you truly integrate into the community. But the most important thing is, the opportunity is still there, just waiting for you to decide. And don't forget, if you found this video useful, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the journey to discover more new life paradises around the world. A comfortable life with fewer worries is sometimes just one plane ticket and one brave decision away.